Subtraction, the same thing. You could have write it vertically with your common denominator. I'm going to fill in zeros. Then you know what to do. Now you see you have to borrow. You can't just bring down that 0.567. How can you have 2? I'm going to take something from it, and you're going to end up with 2 and something. You see, if I got to take this, same thing when I brought in fractions. They want 7 thousandths. I don't have any. Thousands. They want 6 hundredths. I don't have any. They want 5 tenths. I don't have any. But I have 2 wholes. And as long as you have a whole, you can make pieces. No different than with common fractions. It's just that with common fractions, you have to say, what do they need? They need 13ths, I have to get 13ths. They needed 15ths, I had to go get 15ths. They needed thirds, I had to go get thirds. They needed halves, I had to go get halves. Here I know what they need. They need tenths, hundreds, thousandths. I can take $1 and make 10 dimes. Still the same amount of money, right? Just one of the dollars is now in change. Still $2, $1 and 10 dimes. But I don't just need dimes, I need some pennies. So I can take a dime and make 10 pennies. I don't just need pennies, I need things that it takes 10 of to make a penny. I take 1 penny and make 10 of those. Now I have some of everything that you're asking for. Now I can give you 7 thousandths. I have 3 left. I can give you 6 hundredths. I have 3 left. I can give you 5 tenths and have 4 left. And I just have 1 whole now because that other whole I broke into those pieces. Right? So it makes sense. There was a lady today that is the coordinator for the high school completion program that we also house here, where people that want to get credit recovery, some people leave school and they only have a couple credits left to get. And for those folks, quite frankly, it is much easier for them to get those credits than it is to pass the GED test. And so that's what a lot of them do. And some people need even more credits than a couple, but it's easier for them to do that. Sometimes it may take longer, but it takes about a month to get a half credit. So it depends on how many credits you need. If you needed 10 credits, it takes a half a month to get one. It's going to take you 20 months, to get 10 credits. And so that's almost 2 years. And sometimes you can just take the GED test and pass it before that time. But for some people, 2 years, they're still not going to pass the GED test, so it's better to do it that way anyway. There was a lady that was enrolling her son today in that program, and she was saying that her son did pretty well in math. She said, but I'm really horrible in math. I said, that 98% of the population says that same thing, I'm not good in math. And that teacher was saying, she said, the hard part is trying to get them to understand the concept of it, because math is so logical. If you repeat the steps stay the same. The numbers just change. Problems don't change that much. But it's that problem solving, understanding decimals, not just trying to figure out, what do you do when you see a decimal point and you're calling it 0.37, and then they say change this decimal into a fraction, and you're like, what? How do I do that? Well, if you read decimal 0.37 as 37 hundredths, that's what you write. 37 hundredths. That's how you change a decimal to a fraction. You read it and write it, and then reduce it. Because with fractions, the answer always has to be reduced. If there was a number that would go into 37 and into 100 evenly, we'd have to reduce it. That's why this, people, that's half, right? How is it half? Because it's 5 tenths. And 5 tenths reduces to 1/2. So all the time, this number as a fraction and this number as a decimal is not going to be the same, because sometimes it can be reduced. But everybody knows that's a half, but it's a half because this is read 5 tenths. And if you write 5 tenths, it reduces to 1/2. If you had that much money, how much money would you tell me you had? No, you wouldn't. You'd say you had a quarter, right? A quarter. Why is it a quarter? Because it's 1/4 of a dollar, right? Why? How do you read this number, this decimal? 25 hundredths, right? What is 25 hundredths reduced to? 1/4. That's why it's a quarter. That's why you can call this 50 cents or half a dollar. It's no different. No different. This 37 cents is 37 hundredths. It's 37 of the things that it takes 100 of to make a whole, right? When you have 37 pennies, you have 37 of what it takes 100 pennies to make one whole dollar. 37 hundredths. So you have to understand decimals and that they're the same as fractions. It's just that some decimals as fractions can't be reduced. And some can. But anytime you're asked to change a decimal to a fraction, again, read it, write it, and reduce it if you can. Now, you may sometimes be asked to change a fraction into a decimal. Now, if it's 37 hundredths, that's easy to do. Anytime the denominator is a power of 10, it's easy to do that. If I wanted to, how would you write 7 hundredths as a decimal? You want 7 of them and you want them to be hundredths. How would you write it?
0.07.
Yes, 0.07, you see. That 7 had to fall in the hundredths place. You couldn't just write 0.7 because if you did that, that would be 7 tenths, you see. If I wanted to write 345 thousandths, here's what you think. How many numbers do you have to make thousandths?
4.
3. Count the zeros, thousandths. 3. 345 has 3 numbers, right? So I know that all I have to do is write 345. If I tell you I want to write 7 thousandths, how many numbers past the decimal do they have to be for thousandths? Thousandths?
It's the same thing. You put
3.
0, 0,
You have
7.
to have, yeah, but that's not the question.
still
I
gotta have
asked you.
2 zeros
I
in
asked
front
you
of
how
it.
many numbers do you need. I didn't ask how many zeros.
2 in front of the 7.
So how many numbers is that, Francisco?
3 numbers.
Thank you.
Okay. That's all total, not in front.
And that's what my question was, how many numbers, and that's how you have to think. You have to think thousandths takes 3, a 7 is 1, I need 2 zeros in front of it. That's how you know how to write it. You see what I'm saying? If I say 75 thousandths, how would you write that?
0.075.
You see, you had to think. Thousandths still is gonna take 3 numbers past the decimal. 75 is only 2 numbers, right? So I know I have to add a 0, so that 75 has to fall in that that 3rd place.
The 5?
Yeah, the 5.
Well, 2 numbers can't fall there.
Yeah, 2 numbers, so the 5 is the most important.
You read that, so you read the number the way you always would, 75.
So the last word is where the last number goes?
Yes, yes. That's how you can think of it. Everybody has to think of it differently, but that's what makes sense to you, then that's how you have to remember it. See? 75 thousandths, I know that 5, that last number's gotta be in the thousandths place. And since the thousandths takes 3 numbers, and if I gotta put the 75 there, then I have to put a 0 here to make sure that it fell on that, in the right spot. If I wanted 75 10,000ths, what would I have to do? How many numbers of 10,000ths need?
2, not the 4.
Okay?
So you-
Anybody beside Francisco?
No.
4. 10,000ths, here's all you have to figure out. 10,000ths, how do you write? 10,000ths. How many zeros are in 10,000?
4.
You don't have to guess, you count. Don't look at me.
The
How many
has to-
zeros are here?
The zero has to land on the top.
How many zeros are here?
4.
Count them.
Uno,
With
dos,
me.
tres, cuatro.
That's right. You have to. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro. Zeros. 4 zeros. That means in the 10,000th place, there are 4 numbers past the decimal.
What number did you say though?
I said 10,000.
Oh, you said another number. That's how I got confused.
She said, where's the 75?
That's not, you were
10,000.
confused before. I didn't do
75,
that.
10,000?
Yeah.
Write that one down.
75 10,000.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, what you have to think is that 10,000, how many places do I need? That's where we start talking. How many
75.
places do I need for 10,000? And that's when I look and say, how many zeros are in 10,000? 4. So I know I have to have 4 places for 10,000th place. And 75 has how many numbers? 2. So if I need 4 places, that lets me know that I'm gonna have to put 2 zeros there before my 75 in order for that to be 75
Okay.
10,000.
I get it now.
You get it? Okay, let me see. What about 7 millionths?
Dang.
7, 10. You said 10,000, so it's next, so you just need.
It's the next one over.
Don't let me tell you. Do not listen to Francisco. The 2 people you don't listen to,
Okay, no, it's
Francisco
2
and
over.
Thank you. See, you just said 1 because he said 1. I knew there's 2 over. 2 over, so I need how many places?
You need 2 more.
2 more.